Hi students, welcome back to today's online class. We are back in biology classes. Subject biology, class 10, lesson 6, topic life processes, part 3. In part 1 we studied about nutrition and different types of nutrition. In part 2 we studied about digestion process and also respiration in human beings and plants. Now let us study about the transportation in humans and plants. Now, transportation. What is transportation? You have heard about transportation in your regular social studies or lessons. EVS, that what is transportation? Moving things from one place to another is called transportation, or moving people from one place to another is called transportation. In this lesson, we are studying about transportation, but it's not merely the things or people. It is inside the body, whatever is moving, like food needs to be moved to all parts of the body, like oxygen is to be supplied to all parts of the body. Waste materials need to be taken from all parts of the body and throw it out. So for all this process, the transportation takes place. Now let us study. Transportation is the process by which the food and oxygen is carried from one organ to the other organs in the body. Intake of food and oxygen are now taken up at one place in the body of organisms while all parts of the body need them. So, there is a need for transportation system for carrying food and oxygen from one place to another in the body. You all know digestion happens and food is absorbed by blood. So, inside the intestine, the digestion happens and food is ready. But it has to be sent to all parts of the body, all cells of the body. There needs the transportation. And oxygen is taken from from nose to lungs. But from lungs, it has to be passed on all parts of the body and all cells of the body. There the transportation is needed. That is what they mean. Now let us study in detail what it is and what is the system. Transportation in human beings is followed by a system. You all know each metabolic activities has its own systems to operate. So here transportation, it happens in circulatory system. Human circulatory system. The circulatory system is an organ system that permits blood to circulate and transport nutrients, oxygen, carbon dioxide and hormones, and also I can say some waste produced in the body. So this is how the transportation all over the body, circulatory system. There you can see red color, whatever you see in the red color, they are nerves, blood vessels, heart and blood going through it. All this comes the circulatory system. Now, circulatory system. The circulatory system in humans, there are three important components, different important components. First one is blood. Blood is like a fluid. It is like liquid which circulates in the body. Fluid is nothing but, what do you mean by fluid? Fluid is nothing but liquid and gas mixed, it becomes fluid, thick. Blood. Fluid circulates in our body. Blood vessels, tubes that help the blood to circulate. You know, for example, you can think water has come from the tank, it has to come to your house. So how does it come? Through a pipe. That pipe is this here, blood vessels. If you say water as blood, the blood vessels pipe is the blood vessel here. Now how does the water get into the top of the tank? There is some system to send it to the tank. No? There is a pump. There is a pump needed to, you switch on the motor, the water goes up to the tank. That pump work is done. Pumping or the pump work is done by heart. So, blood pumping organ that circulates the blood around the body. Remember students, blood fluid circulates in our body. Blood vessels, tubes that help the blood to circulate. Heart, pumping organ that circulates the blood around the body. Here you can see blood is flowing. Here you can see the blood vessels and the heart. Now, circulatory system. First, let us know about blood in detail. Composition of blood. Actually, what is there inside the blood? You all see red color liquid, that is the blood. No, do you know something? There are different types, varieties in blood. There are 3 different varieties in blood. What are those? Mainly blood is composed of plasma. What is this plasma? It is a liquid, light yellow liquid. But you don't see liquid yellow color in that blood, but there is 55% of plasma in the blood. If you take 100 ml of blood, in that 55% is plasma. Then the other 45%, what it is cells, different types of cells inside the blood. The first one is red blood cells. The first cell type is red blood cells, RBC. It is also called erythrocytes. It is also called as erythrocytes. Red blood cells, RBC, it is called erythrocytes. White blood cells, WBC, short form it is. White blood cells, which is WBC, this is called leukocytes. Erythrocytes, red blood cells, leukocytes, white blood cells. And next one is platelets. Platelets is thrombocytes. Platelets, you have heard platelets recently, I think so. Anyone is not well, they are suffering from dengue. The one report comes is platelets is very dull, very less it seems, it has to improve. So some people will be telling you, give papaya leaves, give that leaf, that food, this food, medicine should be, somebody will donate only platelets. So this platelets is called as thrombocytes. We will detailedly study what is RBC, what is WBC, that is what is platelets, and in detail. Here you can see a small, in a test tube the blood is made to stand by, and here you can see how much yellow color, this is called plasma. There you can see little bit, you cannot see that white color, but it will be there between RBC and plasma, that is white blood cells. And here in this red blood cells are also there, and also fiber like, thread like structures, that is thrombocytes also will be there, that is platelets will be there. Now let us study about what is blood, detailing about blood. Blood consists of fluid medium called plasma. Blood plasma is a yellowish liquid component of blood that holds the blood cells of whole blood in suspension. It keeps all WBC, RBC and platelets and all the other material, food material, everything, it comprises within itself. Plasma holds all it together. It is a liquid part of the blood that carries cells and proteins throughout the body. It makes up about 55% of the blood's total volume. If you take in one test tube, if you take 10 ml, so in that 55%, it will be plasma only. So plasma transports, very important, plasma transports food. It carries along with it food, proteins, nutrients. It carries carbon dioxide to send it out, and also nitrogenous waste, unwanted waste also it carries. But did I say oxygen? No. Plasma does not carry oxygen with it. There is one special component to carry the oxygen. I'll tell you that. See here you can see somebody has given only plasma they are donating. Nowadays you have heard COVID-19 patients, those who have suffered COVID-19 patients, the plasma therapy is suggested by few. What is that plasma therapy is? If I have been infected with COVID-19, my body automatically has fought against, my body antibodies they have produced and they fought against this COVID-19, and I have recovered from corona. So at that time my body plasma has all the capacity to fight against this disease, this corona. So my plasma is given to the other infected person, so that their body also gets this to fight against corona. That is called as plasma therapy. See, you can see only plasma is donated here. Next, red blood cell. Let us know about red blood cell. Red blood cell is made in the bone marrow and found in the blood. The color given to the blood is by red blood cells, because the tiny parts, it has red color in it. Why it has red color? I know you have all studied in your other classes. What is that? In your lower classes you have already studied what is the component which gives red color to the blood. That is iron component pigment called hemoglobin, which gives red color to the blood. It contains a protein called hemoglobin which carries oxygen from the lungs to all parts of the body. Red blood cells, you can see here how it is. It is somewhat like a disc shape. You can say concave mirror, like concave mirror. It is just looking like concave lens or concave mirror. Double concave, biconcave you can see. So it is always produced in bone, no? You know bone, in the edge of the bone. Those who are eating non-veg, they know very well. In the edge there will be something like thick thing inside the bone. That is the place where red blood cells are produced. It contains a protein called hemoglobin which carries oxygen from the lungs to all parts of the body. Main work, it is red color, it gives red color to the blood and it holds oxygen inside. Plasma does not carry oxygen, only red blood cells carries oxygen. Red blood cells, they are disc shaped. I don't know, they are disc shaped. Oxygen and sometimes carbon dioxide they transport. They are 1 cubic of milliliter. 1 cubic milliliter. Very, very minute little bit of blood. If you take 5 million of RBC will be there. So many RBC. RBCs live for 120 days. Today if the RBC cell is born, it will be living for 120 days. So 1 cubic millimeter of blood has 5 million RBC. ಒಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಟ್ಯೂಬಲ್ಲಿ ಅವ್ರು ತೊಗೊಂಡು ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಅರೌಂಡ್ 5 million RBCs will be there. It has hemoglobin. See here, red blood cell, hemoglobin molecules will be there. Oxygen from lungs, oxygen bounded with hemoglobin molecules, oxygen released to tissue cells. This is about the red blood cells. Now let us study about white blood cells, that is WBC, are also called leukocytes, are the cells of immune system. They are called the soldiers of our body. They are for immunity. You know, nowadays, almost every day we see the advertisement, people talking about improve your immunity, immune system, improve your immunity. You eat this, you drink that, you eat good food, vegetables, fruits and all those things. Drink some kashaya so that you can improve your immunity. So that immune system is run by leukocytes. Leukocytes are the soldiers of our body. Any unwanted foreign particle comes to our body, it fight against this. Ma'am, then we have our immune system. Why we are not able to fight against corona? Why people are dying? Why we are getting infected? Actually, to overall, if you see, for the percentage of death is just 0.2%. 0.02%. So need not worry about it, but only it affects the people who are very old and they have some other multiple diseases or problems. They cannot overcome this infection, corona infection. Otherwise, people are actually going through this infection and they're positively coming out of it. Their body is fighting for it. So it is, the vaccinations are in the process to be produced. So immune system that are involved in protecting the body against both infectious disease and foreign invaders. Foreign invaders andre microorganisms like bacteria, virus, fungus, whatever is coming against that, it fights. And sometimes this immune system also sometimes go down. You might have heard about HIV. It is AIDS. That is caused by immune deficiency syndrome. It is called immune deficiency syndrome. Immunity, only small cold can cause them death. That is why AIDS is very, very dangerous. So that are involved in protecting the body against infectious disease and foreign invaders. So what do we call? RBC is important to carry oxygen and it gives red color, whereas white blood cells are important because they are the soldiers of our body. Colorless and larger than RBC. They are bigger than RBC. They are colorless. They are actually, we tell them white because they are colorless. We tell them white. Protects your body against infection by killing bacteria. Most of the virus, it doesn't, because antibacterial body will be produced. It fights against bacteria. Here you can see different. This is not in only one shape. Red blood cells, it is only one shape. Most of it one size and particular, but here WBC, there are different varieties of it. See, they are to donate, actually denote. Here you can see the size of RBC and the size of WBC. But WBC here they have shown in white, actually it is colorless. So they are depositing with white color. Next comes platelets or thrombocytes or small colorless cell fragments. They are like fragments, dara dara dara, like they are cell fragments in our blood that form. Why is this needed? Oxygen is carried by RBC. Soldiers, they are fighting. WBC are fighting. Why is this? This very important is blood clotting. Rakta hep kattodu. Sometimes you have an injury, you remember? You get an injury and the blood starts flowing. After a few minutes, if the cut is minimum, after a few minutes that itself starts to clot. Blood starts clotting. That clotting work is done by this thrombocytes. They are like thread-like structure. As soon as the injury is done, the thread-like structure, they just depart themselves and they become small thread-like structure, and they make a net-like thing. They start making net-like thing and they stop RBC, WBC, anything going outside. Only little bit plasma is sent and the blood clots and the flow of the blood is stopped during an injury. It plays a very important role. Fragments in our blood that forms clots and stop or prevent bleeding. Injury ಆದಾಗ bleeding ಆಗೋದನ್ನ avoid ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. It stops bleeding and it starts the blood clotting. If people don't have platelets, if small injury can cause death because of over of blood flowing. There is some disease where they don't have this capacity. Their platelets don't have the capacity to blood clot. That is actually called royal disease. When I meet you in class, I'll tell you in detail about it. So this is platelets. So RBC, red color and carrying oxygen. WBC, fighting against the infectious disease and foreign bodies, that is bacteria and virus, etc. Platelets, they are important for clotting of blood and stopping the bleeding. Next, circulatory system. Where does the blood flow? We all know, like pipe system, tube-like system, that is blood vessels. There are three kinds of blood vessels: arteries, veins and capillaries. Students, carefully, if you don't understand, go through this video 2-3 times so that easily you can understand. It's an important part of the lesson. There are three kinds of blood vessels. In our body, there are three types of blood vessels, that is arteries, veins and capillaries. Arteries, veins, capillaries. Before that, blood. Actually, in circulatory system, there are three important organs: blood vessels, heart. In blood, there are three important cells: RBC, red blood cells; WBC, white blood cells; platelets. Now, here in blood vessels, there are three types: arteries, veins and capillaries. Each of these plays a very specific role in circulation. Ma'am, anyway blood is flowing together only. Why there are needed three types of blood vessels? Confusing. But it has its own system. The blood which carries oxygen will be going in one type of blood vessel. The blood which does not have oxygen, which is carrying carbon dioxide, will go in another thing. And other things what is released from the body, that will be going in another blood vessels. Let us study in detail. Arteries carry oxygenated blood away from the heart. When it comes to heart, from lungs it goes, fills up the oxygen. You remember alveoli, exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide happens there. That oxygen is carried by blood and through heart it goes to all parts of the body. I told you that blood is carried by arteries. Remember students, arteries carry oxygenated blood, the blood with oxygen. Arteries carry oxygenated blood, whereas capillaries connect the arteries to veins. Arteries carry oxygenated blood, whereas veins carry deoxygenated blood, which does not have oxygen. So when this is coming, that has to connect to each other, right? They have to send that blood, exchange should happen. That connection is done by capillaries. See here beautifully, I have put a picture here. This is artery. Always artery is denoted in red color because red blood cell with oxygen it is going. And veins is denoted with blue color because it is not having oxygen. Okay. Artery veins, and here those two are connected, that is called capillaries. So remember students, artery carry oxygenated blood, capillaries connect the arteries to veins, veins carry the blood back to the heart without oxygen. Now there are the difference, and you should know the differences between each of them. Blood vessels and their functions. Arteries carry oxygenated blood from heart to various organs of the body. From heart, it goes to all parts of the body. Whereas veins carry deoxygenated blood from various organs to heart, back heart. It has to fill up, no? Like heart is a pumping organ, whereas lungs fill up the oxygen. Without oxygen, all blood comes to heart. Heart sends it to lungs. Lungs fill up the oxygen and it comes back. So here, arteries carry oxygenated blood. Veins carry deoxygenated blood. Arteries carry blood from heart to other parts of the body, whereas veins carry from parts of the body to the heart. I know you get confused. 2-3 times you just go through this video, read it properly, you'll understand. Next, capillaries. Capillaries, exchange of materials between blood and surrounding cells take place in capillaries. You all know exchange of blood materials. When arteries and veins, they connect, that connection is done by capillaries. There the exchange things happens. Oxygen is sent to this and carbon dioxide sent back. That food is sent, like that exchange happens between these. Next, arteries. How do the blood vessels look? Arteries, they have thick and elastic walls. They can, like a balloon or the elastic, they can enlarge. So they have very thick wall with elastic like. Here veins, they are thin walled. They have inside, they have lumen, we say that, inside the place, that hole what is there. They have larger one, but the wall is very thin. The pipe wall is very thin, whereas the tube wall here in arteries is very thick. It is thin. Here they are thin walled and extremely narrow, small tubes or blood vessels which connect arteries to veins. They only connect, they are very small, minute, simple vessels. Arteries, they do not have valves. They don't have anything to closures. Valves like muchula, we say, no, that valves they don't have. Whereas veins, they have valves to ensure that the blood flows in only in one direction. Veins have, they have this capillary valves so that the blood does not flow back, to ensure that that is done. Next, capillaries, they don't have valves. Next, circulatory system. Here you can see veins carry blood back towards the heart. Thin elastic muscular wall. Here artery carries blood from the heart. Thick elastic muscular wall. Here capillary network, very minute, small tube-like structure. Next, circulatory system. In circulatory system, there is one more thing you have to understand. You all know muscles. Our body is made up of muscles, tissues and all. In between that muscles, there are a small white color, very small thin tube-like structure that is called lymph. Lymph is a tissue fluid. Tissue, you know, no? To remind you this, you can remember this like this. You all know rasgullas, right? How do this rasgulla will be there? It will be very juicy, dipped in a sugar. If you take out all the juicy, how it will be like a rubber like. Even our body muscles and tissue would be like rubber, very rough and very texture without this lymph. Because of lymph, it is moisture and there is a liquid in it. Fluid is there in that. So, lymph or tissue fluid is involved in transportation. It also helps. The almost colorless fluid that bathes body tissues is found in the lymphatic vessels that drain the tissues of the fluid that filters across the blood vessel walls from blood. Lymph carries lymphocytes that have entered the lymph nodes from the blood. This is nothing but tissue. You can remember, it is a tissue fluid. In between tissues, there is some liquid fluid that is called tissue fluid. Next, Lymph capillaries in the tissues, how they will look like. In between this artery, veins and capillaries, you can see some green color one, small tube like structure. They are called lymph. That is nothing but tissue. Inside the tissue, they are present. Next comes the very important organ and very what they say, emotional organ, etc. And where the people, when they are excited, they are happy, they are sad, they are in emotions, they are depressed, they are in love, starts beating. That is heart. Everything, all our emotions, especially love, we connect it to heart. But actually we love somebody, it is not from heart. Actually it also works in brain mind. But why heart is connected is, as soon as you get excited, as soon as you think of those things, your heart starts beating faster. Because of that, heart is connected to those things. The human heart is an organ that pumps blood throughout the body via circulatory system. It is a pumping organ. It pumps. Only work is to pump and send the blood to all parts of the body. Always sending the blood. Every second it has to beat. It has to pump. When it pumps, when it fills the blood and unfills the blood, that we call it as beating. Let's see in detail. The human heart is an organ that pumps blood throughout the body via circulatory system, supplying oxygen and nutrients to the tissues and removing carbon dioxide and other waste. The heart is roughly the size of the fist. Can you guess what is the size of the heart? Just your fist. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮುಷ್ಟಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಲ್ಲ, ಎಡಗೈ ಮುಷ್ಟಿ ಅಷ್ಟಿರುತ್ತಂತೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಹಾರ್ಟ್. ಅವರ್ fist size will be our heart. It's not exact, an approximate. The human heart has 4 chambers. Here it is very confusing, children, understand. The human heart is divided into 4 chambers. It has 4 chambers. 2 upper chambers, upper part 2 and lower part 2. For that you can just imagine your 2 hands, upper chambers, your 2 legs as lower chambers. So that it is like a role play, you can remember easily. The atria and 2 lower ones, the ventricles. The upper chambers are called auricles or atria. Upper hands, we are denoting it as upper chambers of the heart. Your 2 hands, they are the, what do you call them? Atria or auricles. They are atria or auricles. Next, down it is ventricles. The legs are ventricles, the hands are auricles. Hands and legs does not come here, just to make you remember and remind the 4 chambers of the heart. I am using this technique. Now, the first upper part, let us see. The right atrium, which is your right hand, is your right auricle or atrium. Left hand is the left auricle or left atrium. Okay? Upper part is auricle, atrium. Lower part is ventricle. The right is the right auricle, left is left auricle. Down if you come, right leg is right ventricle, left leg is left ventricle. Like that, 4 chambers. Our heart is having 4 chambers. The 4 chambers are the right auricle, right ventricle, left auricle, left ventricle. The right atrium and the right ventricle make up the right part of the heart. See, right hand and right leg, it makes the right side of the heart. Left hand and left leg makes the left side of the body, like that. Inside our heart also, right auricle, right ventricle will be the right side. Left auricle, left ventricle will be the left side. Between these 2 chambers, right and left, right and left, how they are divided, there is one muscle layer called as septum. What is that called as? Septum, which separates 2 sides, right and left. Now separate malake one center layer ಇದೆ, that is membrane, the muscle layer called as septum. A wall of muscle called the septum separates the 2 sides of the heart. The double-walled sac called pericardium encloses the heart. two layers is closed, full heart if it is, two layers is covered with, the heart is covered with two layers called as pericardium. Pericardium is the membrane which covers the heart. Septum is the tissue or membrane, which wall of muscle which separates right and left sides of the heart. And the four chambers, right auricle. Whenever I say, you just take out your hands also. You take out your right hand up, that is right auricle. Next, right leg you little bit take out, that is right ventricle. Take out your left hand, that is left auricle. Take out your left leg, that is left ventricle. Four chambers, you remember? And it is right and left sides are divided by a wall of muscle called septum. And the heart is covered with two layers called as pericardium. See, here you can see in detail. Next, what is the function of the heart? Here you can see the human heart. This vena cava and all you will understand later. Left auricle, left ventricle, right atrium, that is auricle, and right ventricle. Atrium is also called auricle. Atrium only I will say here. Okay. Heart pumps oxygenated blood throughout the body. The function of the heart is to pump, always pumping the blood. It receives deoxygenated blood from the various body parts and sends this impure blood to lungs for oxygenated. It receives, veins bring all the oxygen, without oxygen blood it brings to heart. Veins bring all the blood without oxygen to heart. Heart sends it to lungs to fill up the oxygen. Again, it comes back to heart only. Again, heart sends it through it to arteries to all parts of the body. Now you can see the circulation of blood through the heart, how it happens. First, superior vena cava is a type of veins. Through veins, it comes to right auricle, that is your right hand. From right hand, it goes to your right leg, that is right ventricle. Right auricle to right ventricle. Now, touch your leg with your hand. Now you passed on the blood from right auricle to right ventricle. From there, then imagine there is a pipe from right leg to your head. Now that is called as pulmonary artery. Pulmonary artery. Through that, the heart sends the blood to lungs. Head is the lung here. The blood comes from right auricle to right ventricle. It goes to lungs. Here lungs fill up the oxygen. After filling up, it sends through lungs, it goes to lungs. From lungs, it sends to left hand. Take out your left hand, that is left atrium. Here the blood has come back to left atrium. From left atrium, it has come to left ventricle. So, you passed on the blood to the legs, that is your left ventricle. From there, again, through aorta, a big pipe is there, artery, a big artery is there. Big pipe above the heart, you can see. Here, see, aorta is here. Through that, three pipes have come, big pipe. Through that, it sends to all parts of the body. So now, you know, you should do this role play for yourself so that when you come back again, I'll just revise it. You do this role play, how the blood, you just first take out your right hand, then touch your right leg, then take your, through the pipe, go to head, touch your head. From head, it will go to left leg, take out your left hand, then touch your left leg, and through that it goes to all parts of the body. Now, circulation system, gas exchange. See here you can see this, you remember when it goes to lungs through alveoli, there the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide, that I have deposited here, which I have already explained in respiratory system. You can go through this properly. See how the exchange of gases happen, oxygen and carbon dioxide, how they exchange here in detail. Oxygen is loaded from the alveolar air into the blood, while carbon dioxide is unloaded from the blood into alveolar air. Next, double circulation. What is this double circulation? Did you imagine? Did you observe? Blood once went through right side, then again it went to lungs, again it went through left side. This is called double circulation. I'll tell you this. The type of circulation in which blood flows through the heart twice during each cycle is called double circulation. There are two types of circulation, pulmonary circulation and systemic circulation. What is this pulmonary circulation? Pulmonary is nothing but lungs is called as pulmonary. The scientific name for lungs is pulmonary organ. Okay, so which is going to the cycle in which blood goes through heart and to lungs, to go to lungs is called pulmonary circulation. After from lungs it comes back to heart to go to parts of the body, it is called systemic circulation. Let me explain it to you. Pulmonary circulation, deoxygenated blood moves from heart to lungs to absorb oxygen, to fill oxygen. When it goes, it is called pulmonary circulation. Whereas oxygenated blood moves from lungs to heart to pump to all parts of the body, it is called systemic circulation. So what, imagine children, right side when it comes, right auricle, right ventricle, lungs, it is pulmonary circulation. Whereas lungs, left auricle, left ventricle to all parts of the body, it is called as systemic circulation. See, because separate. Did you observe one thing, children? Here it is, right side is fully deoxygenated blood, whereas left side it is full oxygen filled blood. Here the veins are carrying, the blood is going to fill up oxygen, there is no oxygen here. So this side, right side is deoxygenated, without oxygenated blood, whereas left side is oxygenated and full with oxygen blood. Advantage, what is the advantage? Why 2 times it has to go? Double circulation of blood is useful to keep oxygenated and deoxygenated blood from mixing. It should not mix again. Again, if this without oxygen filled blood goes to oxygenated, it will cause problem again. It will be, that also happens. Sometimes in the heart there is a hole. Where is the hole is very important. Many of them, they will be, by birth they will be having a hole. Where is the hole? What is the size of the hole also depends. When this hole is in between the muscle and it helps the oxygenated and deoxygenated blood to mix, at that time the people may die. There are small babies, when they suffer this, they are called blue babies. They don't get oxygen at all. Both oxygenated and deoxygenated blood mixes and the body full becomes blue, and baby sometimes dies also. So it is very important that oxygenated and deoxygenated blood should not mix. For that system only it is separate, two circulations are there. Separations allows a high efficient supplies of oxygen to the blood. This helps human beings to use energy to maintain constant body temperature. Our metabolic activity is very much high compared to other animals. So to keep up that energy with the oxygen, we need more of the oxygen. To survive, to help that supply of oxygen, this double circulation is done. See, here you can see. Next, left auricle is a thin-walled upper chamber. When the left auricle relaxes, it collects oxygen-red blood from the lungs. When the left auricle contracts, it sends the oxygenated blood to the left ventricle. Left ventricle relaxes when the left auricle contracts to receive oxygenated blood from the left auricle. When the left auricle contracts, blood is pumped out to the body. Now, circulatory system. This is what fully deposited here. Heart is there. Here veins. This is red color is arteries. Between is the capillaries. It's one of the important diagram, heart diagram, and this diagram you have to practice it very well. I will tell you what all diagrams you have to draw. I will send you in the assignment. You all have to draw those diagrams in your book. Here you can see the circulatory system in fish. They have shown here how it will happen. I'll explain to you now. There is no mixing of deoxygenated and oxygenated bloods in human heart due to the presence of interventricular septum. I told you, the middle layer vessel. Here you can see ventricular septum. The ventricles have to pump blood into various organs, so they have thicker muscle walls than atrium. Atrium has very small thin wall, you can see here, whereas ventricles have very thick wall. Why is it necessary to separate oxygenated and deoxygenated blood in mammals and birds? This is for 4 chambers all of us have. The separation of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood provides high oxygen supply to the organs. This is useful in animals that have high energy needs, such as birds and mammals, which constantly use energy to maintain their body temperature. So, birds and mammals, they need this 2 different types of double circulation, and they should not mix with the oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. Next, transport system in amphibians and reptiles. You all know amphibians is frog-like and reptile, snake, etc. In amphibians and reptiles, the body temperature depends on the temperature in the environment. They are called cold-blooded animals. They have only 3-chambered hearts. We have 4-chambered. Amphibians and reptiles, they have only 3 chambers. And tolerate some mixing of the oxygenated and deoxygenated. Sometimes for them it mixes, but still they can control because of they can control their body temperature. So we have 4 chambers. Amphibians, birds and mammals have 4 chambers. Amphibians and reptiles have 3 chambers. Now, the type of circulation in which blood flows through the heart only once is called single circulation. Here it is single circulation. Let us see where this single circulation happens. This happens in fishes. The transport system in fish. Fishes have only 2 chambers to their hearts. We have 4 chambers. Amphibians and reptiles have 3 chambers, where fishes have only 2 chambers of heart. The blood is pumped to the gills for getting oxygen. You have seen gills, no? How they look. See here I have shown the picture of the gills, how they're a layer of muscles. When the water, you have observed the fish always gulps the water. When it gulps the water goes through gills. Oxygen is absorbed. From the heart, it again comes out through the gills. Then it passes directly to the, pump to the gills. 2 chambers, the blood is pumped to the gills for getting oxygenated. Blood is sent to the gills to get the oxygenated. When water passes through the gills, this blood absorbs the oxygen and again the water comes out. From the mouth to the gills, through the gills it comes out. Then it passes directly to the rest of the body. Blood goes only once through the heart in the fish during one cycle of passage through the body. So fishes have only single circulation. They have only single circulation of blood. Function of valves. There are valves. ಮುಚ್ಚಳಗಳು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. I told you, right auricle, right ventricle. ಅವೆರಡು ಚೇಂಬರ್ ಮಧ್ಯೆ ಒಂದು ಮುಚ್ಚಳ, one valve will be there. From left auricle to left ventricle, there is one valve. So, valves present between left atrium and left ventricle and right atrium and right ventricle allow the flow of the blood only in one direction. It does not let the blood go back again. It has to, once it is filled here, right hand is filled, the valves open, then it goes to the right, like for example, right atrium, the valves open, it goes to right ventricle. Then again the valve will close off. Here it happens in the same way in the left side. Left atrium, the valves open, it goes to left ventricle, the valves close. And prevent the backflow of blood from ventricle to atrium at the time of ventricular contraction. You can see here right side and left side. This is bicuspid valve, whereas this is tricuspid valve. You can see here bicuspid valve and left side of the heart has only two openings, two closures, that is bicuspid, 2, bi is 2. Whereas in the right side it has 3 openings, that is tricuspid valve. You can see the image here. Tricuspid and bicuspid valves. It is like muchula. Next, heartbeat. Tuck, 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 tuck. You all know that, right? Heartbeat. Oh, I was so scared. My heart is beating like hell. You say exams, when the exams are near, you're getting scared and your heart starts beating. And you see someone very special to you also, your heart starts beating, right? Yes. What is this connection with the heart? Let us see. The heartbeat is caused by the heart muscles relaxing and contracting. It relaxes and contracts. The muscles relaxes and again it just closes itself. It becomes very tight and it becomes relaxed. That is what is contracting, relaxing. Systole occurs when the heart contracts to pump blood out. When it becomes very closed up and it becomes very tight, it is systole. That type is called systole. And diastole occurs when the heart relaxes. After contractions it relaxes. That is called diastole. Systole and diastole forms heartbeat. So, when the heart contracts, it is systole. When the heart relaxes, it is diastole. Pulse, you have observed, as soon as you go to doctor holds your left hand or just keeps his fingers, and you'll be observing the watch, and you will be calculating something. That is what is called as pulse. See here, they are seeing the pulse here. Heart line, see, heartbeat is measured by this line, and here it is how it is responding to it. Systole and diastole, how it is happening. You can see the image here. Systole, what is it? And what is diastole? See, systole, the heart is very contracted. Tight. Whereas diastole, it is relaxed, full of relax. That is called as systole and diastole. Now, pulse is the rhythmic contraction and expansion of the arteries. What the doctors check in your hand, left wrist, no? Watch katkolotava. Wrist, hand wrist, he checks the artery to calculate the heartbeat. That is, the pulse is called. Pulse is the rhythmic contraction and expansion of the arteries with each beat of the heart. It is used to measure the rate of heartbeat, how much times the heart is beating. That is the rate of it. Next, blood pressure, BP. You have a high BP, low BP, we all say, no? BP is nothing but blood pressure. Blood pressure is the pressure of circulation of blood on the walls of blood vessels. Through the blood vessels, how fast it is going, what is the pressure it is exerting on outside. For example, you have a very small pipe in your house and you fully open the tap. How does the water come? Very speed, high speed it comes, no? Full pressure. Sometimes if you close the tap for half, how does the water come? Without pressure. That is what the pressure exerted by blood through to the walls of the vessels throughout the tube is called as blood pressure. This pressure is due to work done by the heart by pumping blood through the circulatory. See how the blood pressure is being fall. Blood pressure is the measurement of force applied to artery walls. Here you can see how the blood pressure is calculated. You know what is the device used to measure your blood pressure? Doctor uses it. Sphygmomanometer. Repeat it after me. Sphygmomanometer. Sphygmomanometer is the device used to. What is the device used by doctor to check your heartbeat? Stethoscope. You remember, he keeps in his ears and he just keeps a thing on your heart and he tries to listen to it. That is stethoscope. Stethoscope. Whereas to measure your blood pressure uses sphygmomanometer. See how you can see this. See, this is the artery is pinched to a level that heartbeat is not heard because the blood flow is blocked. Reducing it to the cystic level, heartbeat will be heard because this blood start being pumped. So here they make the pressure and check how big or what is the pressure of your blood. See, this is the human circulatory system, and this is how this all happens. It's a small mind map. You can go through this. See, the human circulatory system, heart is there, heart vessels, blood vessels are there, heartbeat is there, circulation is there, blood is there, and here all the other things. Just go through this detailedly. You can just go through all these things in detail. See, here blood, veins, arteries, it flows, carbon dioxide and oxygen is exchanged. Here circulation happens just for oxygen and carbon dioxide. Here heartbeat rate. Heartbeat is called rate, it is there, and here it is pressure. What is the pressure on that is seen, and here blood pressure is measured, and here again vessels, blood vessels, you can see veins, arteries, and this heart. Again here it is 3 different types, this blood, red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets, all these things. Now quickly let us go through transportation in plants. Transportation is a vital process in plants. In plants also transportation happens. Trees transport all the nutrients and water needs for survival from its roots to the tips of the leaves. You know, no? Water and food is transported inside the plants. They need to transport food and water. So that is what is transportation. The excess water is sent out by leaves through stomata in the form of water vapor. It is called as transpiration. The loss of excess water through stomata from the plant is called as transpiration. Root absorbs water, it sends to stem, and through stem it goes to leaves and all parts of the body. Whereas when excess of water is there, the leaf stomata opens and the water is sent out as water vapor. It is called transpiration. Next, how is food and water transported in? Is there any tube-like system for that? That is not there, but at least some tube-like, yes, there is two systems which is there. Xylem, you can see xylem vessels. Xylem transport cells, it is type of cells, xylem. Xylem transports water and minerals obtained from the soil. It sends water and roots absorb water and minerals and it sends to stem. In stem, there is a tube-like structure that is called as xylem. They transport water and minerals to all parts of the plant. Next, phloem transport products of photosynthesis from the leaves to other parts of the plant. Now, where is the food prepared? In the leaf. Once the food is prepared, that food is sent to all parts of the plant by phloem. The cells which help in the transportation of food is called phloem, and the transportation of food is called translocation, and transportation of water is done by xylem. Xylem transport water and minerals, phloem transports food. Remember, students? So I think with this we have comprised the lesson in the part circulation or transportation. Next we will have a very small one, that is excretion, and we will conclude this lesson, and I will be sending notes next week along with this excretion lesson. All of you copy down the notes in your classwork. You keep 200 pages, one side ruled book. If you have long book, you can keep a long book. If you don't have long book, you can keep one king size book. I would prefer, if you have long book, one side ruled long book, and I will be telling you which all diagrams you have to do in the next week, next class when I am sending it to you. Thank you. Finished it off. Finished it off.